What's up everyone? Welcome to the jungle where you got fun and games. Had to cut Guns N' Roses there. I wanted to sing it in the beginning, but I'm not gifted in that just yet at the very least, maybe next time. But yeah, the game is gonna be of course Diablo 4, and the fun is gonna be the new class, Spiritborn, and all the new toys you're gonna have to play with it. Mind you, I'm not gonna cover every single thing here, because the video is already like 25-30 minutes long. I don't want to make it longer than that, and we're just gonna cover the most important and like things that I think are gonna be broken, things that you need to watch out for if they are not covered in the Campfire chat on the 22nd, I believe, or the blog post after it. So if they are not, you know what to play, right? I'm gonna have them stamped down below, so you can skip ahead. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, let's cover some of the playstyles and the spirits that we're gonna have to deal with Spiritborn. When it comes to playstyles, it's much easier to tell you what you will not be able to play than otherwise, because Spiritborn can essentially play every single playstyle aside from minion. Even over power and fortify builds, you can play. You do need the over unique to do it, but you can. So there's that. Like, I think there's two main things to differentiate playstyles in Spiritborn. You're gonna have really fast and fluid playstyles, and you're gonna have insanely tanky and regen intensive playstyles. Like, I think this is almost a class for everyone but necromancers that want to play minions, basically. Like, if you play a rogue or a bard or even a druid, you'll likely just be playing Spiritborn this season. Mages have some difference, but you can also just play a Spiritborn mostly. If you want to play minions, you're still gonna have to play Necromancer unless you want to try to do something fun with the runes. But yeah. And when it comes to spirits, especially the primary spirits have some really good potential, some of them. When it comes to the Jaguar, first of all, really insane damage potential. Eagle, easy vulnerable uptime and potentially great damage. Gorilla, I don't know how to say this, but besides that, this is insanely fucking broken. Sorry for the ear rape, but the fact that this does not have any form of cooldown or anything, like, it's thorns, but it's broken. This is broken. Anyway, going into the Centipede, just some decent damage reduction. It's, in my opinion, it's the worst out of all the three. I think I would rank Gorilla first, Jaguar second, maybe Eagle second to third. I'll put it in third personally. And Centipede is just bottom feeder at fourth. I would put it lower if I could, but you know, there's only 4 of them. So, yeah. Now, when it comes to the secondary spirits, Jaguar is a nice way to generate ferocity for speed farms. Eagle, weird and a bit clunky, not sure what that's gonna be used for. Gorilla, if you can go high dodge build, could make you basically always unstoppable. I'm not sure how dodge and block and thorns are really gonna work together. If you can make them all work together, it's insane. And Centipede, just some nice regen. Now, we should also talk about the ultimates here, right? I think it's a good place. But first, let's go on to the new mechanics that are kinda tied to the spirits. When you're talking about Jaguar, you got the ferocity, which basically each stack of ferocity gives you 5% attack speed, stacks up to 4 times. You can get it higher, by the way. And so it lasts for 4 seconds, but you can get it higher to like 12, 15 stacks or something, and you can get a lot of damage percentage on top of the attack speed, which you'll see in a bit. So yeah. Then we got, for the Gorilla, we got the Resolve mechanic, which is just free damage reduction really. Especially if you're running a dodge build, you'll not be dropping Resolve that often. So it's like a defensive layer if they go through your dodge, assuming you don't have 100% dodge. So it's really nice. And you got Unhindered for the Eagle, which is just kind of a weaker unstoppable. Not sure if it's gonna be any good. But you know, it's there, and I don't think the Centipede got anything. Ult-wise, the Gorilla is a really good defensive tool. It gives you DR unstoppable in shields. Like, if you just want to bunker on a spot, like, no one can fucking kill you. The Jaguar, like, attack speed buff, right, with the with the ferocity. It reset. After reset, it does extra hit. This is just gonna be like for farming scenarios. This is just gonna be the cream on the top of the like you have the cake, the cream, and the sherry. This is the cream on top of the sherry, okay? But yeah, like the eagle one, the CC is a bit underwhelming, I think. Making things vulnerable on the first hit and guaranteeing the second hit to crit could be really interesting. But I'm not sure what the place is for now. The Centipede one, though, it does a ton of damage and executes enemies. I believe you can also execute bosses with this, I could be mistaken. I don't know if you can, don't trust that information there, but like, just executing enemies is really good, so it's clearly have a place. Starting off with Noteworthy Skills, we're gonna have Rake. Especially its passive, which can possibly be a good way to reset CDRs with, you know, on any skill, basically. Then, going on to Vortex, this ability is just insane for grouping enemies, really good damage, low cooldown, 20% damage buff on the next skill, which is likely gonna be Soar, by the way. Easy way to reset on multiple enemies, right? And likely a main skill and a crowd control beast, right? Then moving on to Soar, which again is gonna likely be coupled with Vortex. Really good vulnerable uptime, and if you can manage to reset its CD, which you will, I think, it's basically a guaranteed hit every time, a guaranteed crit hit every time, which Soar itself will not make, Vortex, mind you, will not make that big of a use on it, but some other poison builds can. Going on after that, we got Ravager. Honestly, I think this is the most broken skill on Spiritborn. It was even more broken some time ago, but they already nerfed it. It's still an insane damage buff ability. This is a mistake on farming scenarios specifically, and if you can reduce its CDR, which you should, you have a lot of support. This is a mistake on almost any single build, maybe besides Thorns and Poison. But yeah, and it can also give mobility to core skills, just to top it off, right? Now, going on to Toxic Skin, this ability, you're mostly looking at it just for the passive and the second passive of the skill, which will make it basically a mistake and insane for Thorn builds, right? Now, after that, we got Counterattack. It has a really strong passive, right? Just free dodge and free damage on the enemies when you do dodge. Like, you could potentially, the active itself, you could potentially have 100% uptime with it, with enough CDR, and become immune to basically all non-dot damage from a single skill, whilst having an enormous damage potential as well. I don't know, this, honestly, this is the second skill I'll be looking most forward besides Ravager. Yeah, I think it's gonna be crazy. Then, I think the last skill that deserves a mention is Payback. Possibly a really good clearing skill for Thorns builds, allowing you to dump all that insane resource that you generate with rock splitter grenades, just dump it and do a lot of damage. And there's lots of other ways to scale it, especially for Thorns. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really great. Now, you know, we can talk skills without going over some passives as well. So first of all, the ones I would like to mention is Mirage. possibly a really good way to cap out your crit chance, especially in the beginning of the season. Then we got Swift, which will likely allow easy resets from ability skills, especially on farming scenarios, so you don't have to invest a lot on cooldown. You got Ancient Guard, which will make it in block cap 100% block, right? To make it easy breezy, basically. You got Bastion, which further buffs the synergy between Thorns and Barrier, gives you a lot of damage. And you got Dominant. I'm not 100% sure on how this passive works. The only thing I know is that it does not work on bosses, which would be broken if it did. But like, there's execute potential here. I don't know exactly how it works, so I can say if it's broken or not, but keep an eye out for it, right? Oh yeah, let's also tackle key passives while we're here, right? First of all, Vital Strikes. This is a really good damage multi. Might be a bit clunky, but if you can reliably apply vulnerable time, it's gonna be literally insane. Adaptive Stance. I would prefer if you could maintain their effect for a couple of seconds after swapping, so it would like encourage builds that are constantly swapping between, you know, different spirits. But assuming this is a 50% of your core stats, refers to dexterity, right? Assuming that, it could make 100% dodge builds even more easier to make, right? Then we got Prodigy's Tempo. This is really interesting, a really interesting key passive. Could be extremely broken, as some Spiritborn skills are potentially quite insane if you have little to no cooldown. And lastly, Noxus Resonance. Interesting way to give a bit of clear to poison builds. Also potentially a great way to shotgun bosses if you can have a skill with guarantee it, which things like Soar can do. So yeah, they are interesting. Yeah, let's go on to the next one. Alright, onto the uniques. First of all, starting on the helmets, we got Harmony. This helmet has really good stats and an insane effect, especially if you're running like a gorilla skill with, I don't know, Jaguar and Eagle, right? You have 150 multi on your skills. That's omega insane. And on the other hand, you got Laudator's Mantle, which I believe has some of the same stats, I believe, but the effect is basically the opposite. It rewards you from doubling down on a spirit choice. The ones I see taking most advantage of this are likely the Jaguar and the Gorilla ones, because those seem to be the most broken one. Maybe the Eagle as well. I don't see the Centipede ever using this, but yeah, like you get double the effect, and on top of that, 6% CDR, which is massive. I'm fairly certain the CDR is going to be nerfed a bit, but the rest should still stay, and they're going to be insane. Going on to the chest piece, the Shin Shell, a really interesting effect. It makes it so, like, as long as you can counteract the life drain, which I don't think you can mitigate. If you can, it's going to be much easier. But reducing 3 seconds from skills on top of the CDR, right? That's the good thing. It's not more CDR, it's after the CDR, after you have like 75% CR, they still takes 3 seconds from the skills, which is really good. But besides that, it has kind of underwhelming stats. Unless this damage reduction on, you know, low life is not reworked, because right now, with a bit of Masterworks, this can functionally make you immortal if you can have a build that's low on life constantly, which I believe you can easily do. So I'm fairly certain there's no way this goes live like this. It's gonna be nerfed at least 3 times, if not more. So yeah, but keep an eye out for that. Now going on to the wrists, to the gloves, I guess. Craze of the Dead God. The stats are kind of underwhelming, but the effect is potentially broken for survivability. As long as you can keep passing that damage onto your enemies. It just gives you a lot of damage, and you basically take no damage. So, oh yeah, and another thing that this allows you to do is that you only need to ever get poison reduction. Like, even if you can't, like, imagine, even if you can't pass this damage on to someone else, the damage you're taking is all poison. So you can just get poison reduction, like max out your poison resist, which the glove already helps you, like giving you that passive, and you're good. You're good to go, right? It's still insane, even if you can constantly give the damage away to your enemies. Like, this is insane. Shame it's on the glove, because you have to sacrifice the damage aspect, but like, the glove should probably give you a lot of damage as well, so, you know, probably still quite good. Now, going on to Scorn of the Earth, Protection of the Prime, the Legend. We get max resist, which could be interesting, you know, could really help stacking up that poison resist. You get conditional dodge, which is a bit finicky, but likely another thing that will easily allow you to get 100% dodge, so there's that. Unstoppable while still likely just trash. You kinda want to be unstoppable while moving, so yeah. Now, actually going on to Scorn of the Earth, the boots. Well, you have basically only 2 good stats, but those good stats are really good. The CDR, you can get 75% CDR with the boots alone. I don't believe this will ever go live, but the other effect is also really good. It will just allow you to reduce the cooldown on your dodge, which is really nice. And the effect will allow Thor to do a lot of damage and make it that much easier to properly use and as Thor, right? Now, going on to the rings. For the rings, we have 6 of them, and each of the rings tries to get the fantasy of 2 of the spirits working together. So I'll tell you the rings and I'll tell you which spirits they try to represent. So first of all, Ring of the Midnight Sun, which is the ring for the Eagle and the Jaguar. It does nice stats, a potentially broken resource gen on high-hand builds, especially if you have a lot of crit damage and some resource gen, right? And you have the counter attack passive effect, which is really good, allowing us to take full advantage of it without sacrificing a skill slot, right? Which is awesome. You can just, like, assuming you don't want to use the ability, you can just have the passive skill, which is really strong, and just use another skill there, so you don't even take that skill slot. It's insane, right? Going on to another ring that can also do that, the Wound Drinker, which is the ring of Gorilla and Centipede. It has decent stats. Weird to have some of them on the ring though, but since they are for, again, the Gorilla and Centipede, which are defense and, you know, survivability, they actually are good. It has really good vigor generation, and you get the Toxic Skin passive for free, which is insane for Thorn builds. And you're still gonna have to spend 3 points, because you want to get the passive that makes it so your opposing enemies take more damage from Thorns, but still insane, right? You can take advantage of it without sacrificing a skill slot, and on this one, you'll never want to use the skill anyway, so really great. Now, going on to the Ring of the Midday Hunt, which is the ring for the Centipede and Jaguar. Overall, bad stats aside from the CDR, which, again, will likely not go live. 50% max vigor could be interesting for, you know, the vigor stacking builds, which there might be one. And the poison dealing more damage faster, it will help this build with like farming scenarios, but I think it potentially harms poison builds, especially if you want to take advantage of the poison key passive. So it will likely not be used for pushing, but yeah. Then, going on to the 4th ring, we got the Band of the First Breath, the ring for the Eagle and Gorilla. Overall, awful stats and just an underwhelming effect, so we're just gonna skip the next one, the Peacemonger's Signet, the ring for the Gorilla and Jaguar. It has really insane defensive stats, a potentially useful effect that allows you to generate resolve on a full Jaguar build. You'll likely be able to keep it up like Resolve is going to be a really good defensive layer, especially if you have some dodge, so you don't constantly lose stacks, right? So there's that. Now, for the last ring, the Ring of the Writhing Moon, the ring for the Centipede and Eagle, it has good stats and a potentially build-enabling effect with the Swarm thing, right? There's a lot of Swarm here, and on the aspects, you could probably make a build around that and it will likely be really good. So, we are 5 out of 6 good rings. So, you know, that's good. We'll take that. Now, going on to the weapons, which honestly might just be some of the most broken uniques we have ever seen. So, first of all, Rod of the Black, whatever, however it's said, right? Really interesting build enabling weapon, first of all, for two things that are going to converge into a build. One of them, core skills. Core skills being able to just be spammed out, you don't need to worry about resource. I think your core skill will actually generate resource, so there's that. And, you know, generating resource, you'll also do more damage with resource. So, yeah, for max resource builds like we were talking about earlier, really good. It also has really good stats, so, you know, really good. Now going on to the Spasm Thack, right? Overall, really good stats and possibly insane for basic skill builds. Mostly trash. I think trash is going to be the favorite basic skill, but yeah, really good as well. Now the third weapon is the Wishnakpa. Really interesting build enabling weapon for ultimate, right? I think this can be really broken, especially that passive, the ult passive. I think you can get upwards of what is that? Like almost 200% or something from the passive, which is insane, right? Really good stats on the weapon. It will likely make at least one build, like the Jaguar one. I think it's going to be the favorite one for the ultimate. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And lastly, the Uber unique, especially for Spiritborn, Nazaken the Herald. This super unique, it's a crazy single target powerhouse, right? It's gonna lack a bit on the clearing front, right? But like the stats are broken. This single-handedly allows a Spiritborn to actually have overpowered builds, right? You don't need to stack crits and you have guaranteed overpowered. At least 10 every 5 seconds, right? So you might not want to invest as much into attack speed because you can usually get over 10 attacks per second. But yeah, it's insane. You're gonna have some hard time actually building up the I forgot the name. The protection thing, right? I'm forgetting the name. But yeah, like it's gonna be insane. Like for single target, Spiritborn is set, right? You're gonna need to use like probably the dodge aspect, right? That on dodge it gives you the thing that I'm forgetting the name of, but yeah, it's gonna be broken. Now, for the noteworthy aspects, we got, on the defensive side, aspect of deflection, possibly build enabling and massive damage from a single defensive aspect. Aspect of the forest power, likely really good for static run-out fights, could be insane to help you survive against the ramping damage. It's also a mystic circle aspect, which you'll soon see are really good. Aspect of kinetic suppression could be really great to enable concussive stomp builds and insane resolve uptime. Aspect of temporal incisions, insane when paired up with the Ravager skill, which is likely one of our best skills. And lastly, aspect of tenacity, an incredibly easy way to sustain max stacks of resolve. Now, going over to the offensive ones, we just covered the defensive, going on to the offensive. Aspect of the bristling vengeance makes payback even more of a must-take on the Thorns builds. Aspect of infestation, and Aspect of Pestilence, these two will likely go together. Aspect of Infestation, really good way to spawn and scale Pestilence swarms. And Pestilence could be really defining for allowing you to, you know, a better AoE and clear for the Pestilence swarm, right? Now, Aspect of the Plane's Power, another Mystic Circle one, which again, really good ones. Could be really good, like, besides having decent damage, right? It easily allows you to have 100% of time on Ferocity, which is likely insane. So yeah. Aspect of the Simple Reprisal, interesting potentially, especially for Thorn's build. I think it's gonna be the best used on Thorn's build. The Bristleback Aspect, insane, as you can easily stack max block or evade, and depending on the coding, you could I can see this double dipping. In each case, in the case it like after you have a successful dodge, it also checks for a block. Like if it does that, it's just insane. I wouldn't put that past them, right? So another one, Starving Ravager's Aspect, another easy way to keep the Ravager up. I don't think we're gonna have a hard time keeping it up, and it's gonna be great. So another one is Aspect of the Redirected Force. If this ends up being multiplicative, it could be really broken because you can just buff any build by a lot. Right? And the aspect that I think we need, the offensive aspect I think we need to keep our eyes on the most, it's going to be the aspect of unyielding hits. This one, basically when you cast a gorilla skill, it adds a portion of your armor to your attacks. So, there are 3 ways this could work. This either adds the damage after all the damage calculation is done. This adds a portion of your armor to your final damage, which is gonna be kinda shit. This could also just, you know, add this damage to your base damage, the base damage of your weapon, in which case it could be really good for some builds, right? Especially builds that have high percentages. And this could be really broken if it adds on to the damage of your skill. What I mean by this is, instead of adding to your weapon, which then your skill takes a percentage, depending on your scaling of your skill, takes a percentage of that for its damage, if it adds after that, in addition to that, skills that have really poor scaling, let's say a skill that has 15% scaling, you would only get, you know, 150 for 1000 base damage, but then you can have 1000 more from your armor on top of that, right? So if it scales like that, it's going to be omega broken, and some skills are going to benefit more than others. But at the end of the day, this is also going to come down to what value of armor does it take. Does it take your whole armor? Does it take the armor after the reduction from the tier you're playing? Right? Because as you go up in tiers, on the world tiers, you get less and less armor. So, you know, there's a lot of variables with this. We don't know how it works. So, depending on how it does work, this could be omega insane. Like, this is... If you're gonna keep the eyes out for any single aspect, this is it, by the way. Anyway, let's go on to the resource ones. We only have one here. Aspect of Acceleration, together with the Sword Evade unique, could make Sword super insane, right? I don't know, it's just insane. So, going on to mobility, we got Aspect of the Fleet Wings, possibly the best mobility aspect out there. It makes Razor Wings Incarnate skill, allowing it to have extra scaling, and the passive is quite decent, so if you're already making a build around it, right? We have Aspect of the Sky Power, allowing Mystic Circles to move with you, could end up being quite beneficial. Like, that's what I'm saying. Mystic Circles builds could really be really broken. And lastly, for the mobility, you got Aspect of Momentum. Interesting mobility option for core skills, with an additional damage bonus on top of it. So, you know, really, really cool. And lastly, we're gonna go on to the utility ones. Starting off with Aspect of Turbulence, joining two of the best Spiritborn skills in one. It's just insane. This aspect is literally build enabling for SOAR Vortex builds. Yeah, it's like unless Vortex is really bad, this aspect is gonna be omega insane and insanely broken. Like just giving you the effect is good enough. It then gives it more damage. I don't know. Anyway, going on to Aspect of Reactive Armor, another concussive stomp enabling effect. Like if in concussive stomp ends up being a build, this is really good for it. Then we got Dualist Aspect, which it's simple. It raises your max stacks of ferocity, and there's a lot of max ferocity things that take advantage of max ferocity. So I think you can have upwards of like 15 or something max ferocity. Can't really recall right now. Well, is it 12 or 15? I can't recall. But you can get a lot of stacks, and some stuff really gets crazy when you start stacking it. And lastly, for the aspects, you're gonna get Menacing Aspect. This could be really good depending on the area of effect. Like, you just have an AoE constantly around you. Really great. But yeah, that's it for the aspect. So yeah, for conclusion, I think that there are a lot of broken things right now, but I think they're going to be fixed, most of them. Besides that, there are some interactions on the Spiritborn that I think are going to be hella fun to play with, and I'm really looking forward to the Campfire and the eventual release on the 8th of October, right? So yeah, I'm likely going to be streaming it as well, so you know, for some shenanigans and longer rants than this one, which is like, I don't know, 30 minutes long, make sure to join me on Twitch, and you know, make sure to like and subscribe, you know, just to join the delirium that's this channel. Yeah, see ya.